Donald Trump must be removed from office. The damage he is doing to this country, both foreign and domestic, as the oath he takes references, the damage he is doing is incalculable. This son of a bitch is doing things to this country that I don't know if we're going to recover. Every single day, it gets worse and worse and worse. Here's an example. It's from the Washington Post. The story is the White House Correspondents Association President Jeff Mason. White House Correspondents Association represents all those people that have to put up with the oceans of bullshit that Huckabee's daughter shovels out every day. God, is she awful. Another super Christian, huh? Anyway, the president of that organization, Jeff Mason, last night said that the White House had selected him to criticize the work of other reporters. Now, that makes sense, doesn't it? Jeff Mason said at an event held at the White House Historical Association, he said the following, quote, "There have definitely been times over the past several months where the White House has come to us, often to me specifically, asking that we or I intervene and criticize a member news organization or reporter." There was a specific instance. Mason said, quote, "In one case, and I won't say the name, but in one case, I was asked to, on behalf of the White House Correspondents Association, to release a statement criticizing a reporter's story." And when he said that, there was this, wave of disbelief in the conference room. And I said, "No, because that's not what we do, and that's not something we would ever do," end quote. Now, for background, most people are only familiar with the White House Correspondents Association from that stupid-ass dinner they have every year where the press, who is supposed to be the adversary of the people who run the government, that's what the role of the press is, an adversarial relationship. That's what it should be. But at that Correspondents Association dinner, they all get together and play grab-ass with each other. And, yeah, some of it is funny, the routines that some of the speakers come up with are very funny stuff. But they all dress up and they all invite Hollywood, even the Republicans who are always, trying to link Hollywood and the apocalypse and the Democrats, right? But they all invite all these super media stars, and everybody goes to this dinner and just have a good old time. Now, if you've ever watched it on television, maybe the thought has occurred to you, what the fuck are these people doing? They're not supposed to be sitting around playing grab ass and patting each other on the head and tickling each other's privates. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. The Correspondents Association is supposed to carry a whip, a long whip. And every time one of these bastards in government gets out of line, I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican, shoom! Now I'm talking about get out of line in the White House. There are enough reporters to cover the sewer that is the Senate and the sewer that is the House. Now, the Correspondents Association also has a mission. They do. This is according to their own mission statement. It is to ensure, quote, "a strong free press and robust coverage of the presidency by advocating for access by the media to the president, White House events, and administration officials," end quote. The idea is to irritate whatever administration is occupying the White House for as much official face time as possible. And that includes interviews, photo availabilities, and wide open press briefings, which don't exist under the orange son of a bitch who now squats in the White House. wide open press briefings. It's to the point now where this horrible, what's her name, the press geek who runs it now? Huckabee, what's her? Sarah Huckabee Smith? No, it's not Smith. Anyway, Sarah Huckabee, I'll just use her, one of her names. Sarah Huckabee, in her frog-like arrogance, like a Christian Trunchbull from, what was that movie? Matilda, that's right. Has reduced these press briefings down now to no cameras involved and no live transmission. See, the Trump base, these sick fuckers who voted him into office, the white nationalists, the white supremacists, the American firsters, I'm sure they think that a live press briefing is unnecessary. For a very simple reason. They don't get their information from media because it's all fake, right? They get their information from a shithole like Breitbart or Sean Hannity or Fox or some of these other places where these people wouldn't know the truth if it came up and bit them on the ass. They don't deal in truth in Trump world. They never have and they never will. That is becoming more and more evident every single day that goes by. However, the so-called Trump base, they don't deal in truth either. For the most part, they are white supremacists, white nationalists, American firsters who have taken the Christian religion and perverted it and twisted it into something that would make Jesus Christ throw up. Where was I? Oh, yeah. What the White House Correspondents Association's mission is. It's to try to make sure that there is open communication, whether you like it or not. It doesn't make any difference what you like or don't like. If you're a right-winger or a left-winger, it doesn't make any goddamn difference. Get the information out there is the key. Then, if you're on the right or the left or up or down or somewhere in the middle, I don't give a shit. But then, once the information's out, you can make your decision. But to suppress the information, it's what they do in totalitarian states, which is where we are getting closer and closer to living. The leaders of the Correspondents Association spent as much time explaining what they do not do as what they actually do. They do not issue media credentials to the White House. They do not decide who gets called on in briefings. And they certainly do not cast editorial judgment on the work of their member organizations. In other words, there's an understanding among the White House Correspondents Association members that they all observe, they all take the information that is given to them, and this administration, 98% of which is utter bullshit. And they try to put together coherent stories to keep people informed, even the assholes who make up the Trump base. Now, the assholes who make up the Trump base, Jesus could read something to them that came out of a press briefing and they wouldn't believe it. But the Press Association's job is to collate all this stuff that comes out of the White House, put it in readable form, and present it to the American public. And then, like I said, what you do with it at that point is up to you, and television reporting too. The fact that White House officials ever supposed that the Correspondents Association, especially the president, would slam a specific news report speaks to one of two possibilities. One, the White House has no idea how this whole thing works. The Trump organization has no idea how government works, and they don't give a shit. They're after the money. That's all they're after. And number two, the Trump White House cares not a whit about attempting to turn a neutral organization of long standing into a political tool. In his comments, Jeff Mason, remember the president of this association, mentioned, quote, a learning curve for the White House to figure out our role, but we have made very clear what our role is, end quote. And according to the Washington Post, a few moments after Mason made his comments at this meeting, he was told that Twitter had lit up with chatter about the things he was saying. He declined to deliver further details on White House requests. A correspondent for Reuters, that's who Mason works for, Mason has served as the president of this organization during the most trying of times. Though he noted at the meeting that access to the Trump White House was good in the early months, the rhetoric coming from the president was problematic. Throughout his tenure as president, Jeff Mason has spoken in calm and measured tones, even in the face of outrageous, lying, duplicitous behavior by the White House officials he was covering. So the idea that somehow he would cooperate in a scheme put together by probably this monstrous son of a bitch Steve Bannon or the little Nazi too young to drink Stephen Miller, a scheme to slam members of his association, peers, other journalists, that drills down to the strategic incompetence of the White House communications apparatus. They have no idea what they're doing. None of them do. This is the most ignorant group of savages ever. You know, he couldn't say that about Cheney and his group of war lovers. They were not ignorant. They understood government the way you and I understand the how many steps between our kitchen and the bathroom. Cheney was a pro. He was a professional, well, he's still alive, God damn it. Cheney was a pro, a professional killer, a professional distorter, a professional war criminal, a professional politician. Now, I'm not saying that as faint praise. That's just what he was. The people in the Trump organization are not professional anything except thugs, every single one of them. Now, you may disagree and say, oh, there goes that fucking Malloy again using, ad hominem attacks. Well, you take a look at what these monsters are doing, and then you tell me if they're not thugs. In any event, the Trump monsters have this habit of awkwardly making these requests for pushback from the news organizations that are supposed to be covering them. Back in February, the Washington Post reported that the White House had attempted to enlist intelligence officials to discredit media reports about the ties between Trump allies and Russia. Now, why would you do that if no such ties existed, which is what these lying, pathological bastards have been saying in the Trump administration since day one? There's no contact. There was no this. There was no that. And then drip, 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 this stuff just keeps coming out and coming out. And now you find that this gruesome son of a bitch, Donald Trump Jr., and this gruesomer, Jared Kushner, who the fuck is this guy? You know, so he's the beautiful Ivanka's husband. Who is he? Why is he where he is? Why was Ivanka Trump given the president, oh, I almost gag on that word, the president's seat at the recent G20 meeting when Trump had to go take a dump or whatever Trump had to go do? Daughter, come here, Ivanka. I've got to go take a dump. Will you sit here and just negotiate with everybody? Thank you, sweetheart. Who are these people? And why are they making decisions that may affect how long you live? What?
I think we're lucky that he didn't ask Ivanka to just sit on his lap during the meeting, because that's her preferred position.
Yeah, I'm sure. But to try to figure out who these people are, Stephen Bannon, this son of a bitch belongs where he started. Hustling bullshit for Goldman Sachs. That's what he, look, every one of these people is a simplistic hustler. Every single one of them. They're nasty, they're belligerent, and they lie.